We can like do it as we go also. Okay, so the weirdest thing just happened.
Please don't tell my mama this ain't marijuana. Enjoy your mind trip, but don't trip on your mind. No man is safe from the war going on outside.
We're outside and this random cat came up to us and I was like, oh my god, it's so friendly and like really cute. We were just like hanging out with it and I was petting it and I was like rubbing all over and like staying by us. We were literally about to take it home, like we just got a new cat. Then we see these two dudes and Steve's like,
did you guys lose a cat?
they just like came over, weren't really talking, I don't know, it was just like really weird, and then like took the cat and I was like,
Oh, did it jump out the window?
and then he just like didn't answer me and just like took the cat and like ran inside, and they're like in the same building as us. That was just like so weird. Like we just had a new cat and then like it was gone moments later. Like that was just so weird. All right, so we are going to do this tag that, okay, Steeg's excited that he created this tag idea, so
Trip tag.
So this is a trip tag. There's a few people that I definitely want to do this video. One would be Raw Alignment, Elise. She is a person that made me go vegan. I've been watching her for a really long time. She is what got me hooked onto vegan, what I eat in a day videos, and just really put me on to like that whole lifestyle. Big influence in that area. And I know she did a video about microdosing, and I think that would be really cool to have her input, and really just anyone else that wants to contribute and participate in this tag. I think a big thing that we're trying to do is to normalize and to spread a lot of education around psychedelics. And I think having different people's perspectives and having a lot of people's input and experiences out there plays a huge role in that. So that is the goal with this tag, I guess. Steeg isn't the most comfortable on camera, but that's okay. Yes, keep my password in. Okay, so how old were you for your first trip? You go first?
I gotta go first?
Yep. How old were you?
I think it was in...
I feel like you were in like sophomore year, right?
I think it was sophomore or junior year, I can't even remember.
Sophomore, junior year? Okay.
It was either the beginning of sophomore year or the beginning of junior year.
Okay.
I think I was 16.
Okay, 16.
But
I was 17 for my first trip. When was your last trip? My last trip was in December. Yeah, it was in December. When was your last one?
Just that little one.
Oh,
trip.
yeah.
I think the one before that was... I don't remember like when things happened, but I remember like the trips I had before that were acid with... I feel like we had a mushroom trip together after that too.
Oh, you did?
But maybe I'm wrong.
Next. What substance was your last trip? Oh, mushrooms.
Yeah, mine was mushrooms too.
Oh, I should be like looking at the camera, not like, Have you had a challenging trip? Please explain. And just to explain this a little more, we decided to go with the word challenging instead of bad trips because the last talk we went to with Michael Pollan and Dessa, they did a talk on psychedelics that was kind of explaining Michael's new book.
Which we haven't read.
Yeah, we haven't read, but we thought it would be an interesting thing to go to because it is a talk about psychedelics in Minneapolis, which we haven't gone to or heard about. So that's why we went, and I was going to do like a video on it, just kind of like saying our initial thoughts, but we never did it. So I was thinking we could just like say a few things about it right now. It was a older crowd, and the talk was definitely geared towards this older white audience. Also, we talked about it being a very generic or broad talk on psychedelics. It didn't really go too in depth into any direction.
Beginner's overview,
yeah.
I also think there was like a huge emphasis, and not to say that it's a bad emphasis, but there was a huge emphasis on having a guided experience and having like a more or less quote unquote controlled experience.
Yeah.
You
can look at me, you don't have to look straight on. It's okay.
But I feel like, at least for me personally, a guided experience, while it can have like a good benefit for people that don't know what they want or know what they want to get or want to have that very safe experience, like that's all good and well. No judgment towards that. I think there should also be further discussion about how to safely and productively do a trip on your own and where you don't have that guidance, because there are a lot of people out there that don't have, say, access to someone that can guide them through it.
Yeah, or want to even do that or want to trip in that setting. Like that's definitely not going to be like the most comfortable setting to every single person. And I feel like the most important thing that people look for when entering this space for the first time is comfortability. Any other critiques? I know we had like a few, dosing was one of them.
Yeah, which I think is a really important. At least mushrooms, it's maybe a little less intensive, but as far as like LSD goes, when you're dealing with such small amounts of a substance, a tiny little bit can make a big difference. But even with mushrooms, when they're talking about like, oh, I had a light dose, or I had a heavy dose,
because they were using language like heavy dose, light dose, and that can be up into interpretation for a lot of people. So actually defining what a heavy dose is and what a light dose is could be really beneficial.
Yeah, because I mean, for some people, 3.5 grams or an eighth or whatever is an average, a light or a heavy dose. It depends on who you are, how you react. So that is one difficult thing about with psychedelics, is the subjectivity of it. So it's important to kind of
define what you mean exactly by that. Yeah, being a little bit more specific. One thing I found interesting was the type of language that they were using. They spoke very well, and they spoke of it in a certain way to kind of cater to their audience once again. So I thought it was really interesting to see how other people talk about it and the type of language and disposition they use when talking about this topic, because it's becoming so mainstream now that a lot of different types of people are voicing their opinions on it, and we're getting a lot more perspectives that we didn't have before, so it's interesting to see everyone's relationship to it. Anything to add, or are we moving on? Okay, I feel like we did have some more critiques though. I can't remember what they were.
Yeah.
Some pretty important ones. I feel like it was specific to like things that they said and like some of the topics that there were.
Yeah.
You know?
I think one thing that I disagreed with personally was them using the language of real and not real.
Oh yeah.
Because at least for me, in all my experiences, defining things as real and not real is counterproductive.
Wait, context. How did they use real and not real? Because I can't even remember.
So they use real as in like the visuals and the things that you see as being not real. And while I can understand how that can be like a good way to ease people or help people understand that they're on a drug and all that sort of thing, and help people be comfortable with the situation that they're in. But at the same time, I think pigeonholing and determining that the experience, what you see, what you get from it, by saying what you see isn't real, I think lessens the impact of the experience. Because for me, or at least some of the experiences that I've had have been more real than what is here.
So trying to like define a mainstream idea on what reality is, so they're still confining reality to this certain idea, to this like socially accepted idea.
Whereas reality and like using the terms real and not real kind of in a way perpetuates the idea that psychedelics make you psychotic, or psychedelics simulate schizophrenia, or things like that. It kind of puts it into this context where society already has an idea of these mental illnesses that these people are seeing, hearing, visualizing, feeling things that aren't real, but real is just what they're determining is real.
Yeah, what their experience is.
So I don't think that is necessarily a productive vocabulary or a way to explain that sort of situation.
I feel like sitting on my drawing. anyways, okay, what was that relating to? We're giving background on the Michael Pollan talk
Because we said challenging trip versus
yeah.
bad trip.
Yes. Challenging, and he used the words challenging trip instead of saying something's bad. Because you still learn something by the end of it, which is a good thing.
But we also can't coin that phrase to him. I know I've heard it from other people as well.
Don't give him too much credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one thing that I did want to say.
Steek's got more. I think we also talked about having like a millennial voice in the conversation.
Well, that was one thing. I wish Dessa would have had more of a voice in it.
Yeah, but she was like a facilitator, or a moderator kind of.
Yeah, which it would have been more interesting to have them actually having a conversation versus her like asking questions. Because she is like a younger voice. Granted, she herself admitted that she didn't have a lot of experience. But at the same time, like I think that having that conversation between the old and the young would have been more beneficial than just asking questions, because it did kind of give off the air of like Michael Pollan is the authority figure on this topic.
Steve's like, you ain't shit. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that, like, to me it's interesting to see who emerges themselves as the authority figures and where they come from, what their experience is, and what they believe to be. I'm gonna scrap all that. It's making me sound like a complete, like, I sound...
What?
Like,
Dude, you got shit all up in your teeth. You spit or something.
well, I'm, like, having a moment right now where I can't...
I'm having a moment right now. Okay, go.
Because I myself can't claim to be an authority figure. I myself can't claim to know more than anyone else with it. So then how can I comment on how someone else is doing it?
You can say your opinion. Like, there's nothing wrong with an opinion. It just is what it is. Everyone has one. It's okay to have an opinion. And you're just vocalizing it instead of keeping it in your head.
But I mean, there's going to be someone else that's going to view me like how I view Michael Pollan.
Yeah, who cares? Like, it just is what it is. It's the nature of having a voice. Oh, okay. Most challenging trip. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
You go first.
Me?
Or I can go first, I guess.
I can go first. I'll go. My stomach kind of hurts, dude. The fuck? Ouch. Okay. My most challenging trip. I was at my friend's house, and these are the kids that I would trip with all the time in high school. We were at this kid's house, and I'm just like remembering funny shit from that night now. And we were going to do some 25I. So when I was in high school, I started out with like a lot of research chemicals, and that's kind of like what I thought psychedelics were. So that was my initial experience. We were doing 25I. My friend sold it, so they also got some like K2. This kid made some like K2 edible brownies, and oh my god, there's like so much like fucked up stuff behind this story. I'm not gonna like say it, but like there's just like so much like crazy background stuff about it. But anyways, that happened, and this kid, I'll call him Taurus, ate some K2 brownies, and then he also took like several tabs of the 25I, and this was his like first time taking this many, and we were all like, ooh. And then there was like 2 other people that weren't tripping. I don't know what they're doing, probably like smoking and drinking or something. And then there was like a bunch of beer and stuff, and we were just like chilling. This other dude that like was the person that sell, I'll call him, Eucalyptus. So Eucalyptus, oh my god. Eucalyptus sold, and we were at his house, and then things started to get going. It was like super cool. I was seeing like literally in the midair. We could talk about this another time on like the difference between, in my experience, like research chemical visuals versus like naturally occurring psychedelics like mushrooms. So it was always like tints of green and purple, or like a fuchsia, and so there were like ribbons in the air. It kind of looked like smoke and just like going like this. That was really cool, and I was just kind of like playing with that. And then all of a sudden, like Taurus like started to freak out, and he felt like he was overdosing. He was just getting hyped, getting like so like you could just see it erupting. Like it was just growing so fast inside of him, and he wasn't calming down. And like I was trying really hard to calm him down. Like he was just like so gone. Like he just wasn't there. There was no possible way of calming him down. Like I did everything, you know, and like we're all tripping, so it's just like, dude, like we're all like super fucked up, like we don't know how to handle this situation. And then like the two other dudes were like, yo, like I'm out, this is getting too much, like we gotta go. And we were just like, fuck. He was like, dude, don't leave. And I was just like, holy fuck, like what the fuck is going on? So then he starts to scream at the top of his lungs, and we're like in we're in like a nice ass like condo like on the lake, and like he's screaming at the top of his lungs like, I'm overdosing, like screaming. He was like, and then he started taking off all of his clothes, and then he punched Eucalyptus in the face, and then Eucalyptus was like, you have to get the fuck out. He was like, you gotta go, man. I was like, dude, you can't kick him out. You can't do that right now. Like, no. And oh my god. And then we tried to call his parents. I was like, well, fuck. I was like, Taurus, like I need to call your parents. He's like, call them. And he gave me his phone. I called like several times. They were not answering the phone. I was trying to call people, and like he was just like continuing to erupt. And then like somehow like he got in the hallway. I don't know if like Eucalyptus like brought him in the hallway or whatever, but he was in the lobby like screaming, and like the desk people are there, so they're like, what the fuck? And he's in his underwear. And then like oh my god. And like I could hear him. I was in the building, and like I was like tripping balls, and like I could just hear his voice, I'm overdosing, and like I didn't know if it was coming from outside or inside, so like I was just like hearing it everywhere. And I'm like, dude, is he up here? Like where is he? And then I was like trying to look outside. I'm like, am I hearing him from outside? And I just kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. And then like he came, I think Eucalyptus came. I like don't remember kind of after this too much, but like then Eucalyptus came in and like told me like, oh, the ambulance are coming. Like I think we had to call. I don't remember if I called or who called. I think he called, or the front desk called. Like somebody called 911, and the ambulance came there. I'm pretty sure he took his boxers off, and he was like running around naked, and they had to put him in an induced coma. And at this point, like there's cops everywhere, and like we're just like sitting here with like some K2 brownies, a bunch of 25i, and like liquor everywhere, and we're all like 17. And so like we were just like, what the fuck? And we literally, oh, it was so fucking crazy. Like his clothes were up there, and so we were like thinking, like the craziest shit was going through my head. I was like, literally, I'm about to go to jail, I'm about to be arrested, and my life is over. Like I was freaking the fuck out. My mind was going in like so many crazy places. And then we like grabbed his clothes and like threw them outside somewhere, and we're like running through this fucking maze of an apartment building. It's like this huge ass apartment building, and like I thought the walls were never ending. Like I was just running and running and running and running, and it looked like it was never ending. And then all of a sudden the door was there, and so then I would have to like, I was getting sick because we were fucking running and I'm tripping. And so like every time we'd like open a door, I'd be like, bleh, and like throw up in the corner and then keep running, and then bleh, throw up in the corner and then keep running. And I was just like, I feel like I'm about to die right now. And like it was just so gross, and I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like I need to go to your place, get all my shit, and go. Like I just need to get out of here. So like I run, I like grab my shit, leave, and I'm just like on the street. Like I have mascara running down my face, and I'm like in a t-shirt, and I'm just like walking around the street. And like I was calling my friends, and I was like, because like I didn't want to have to call home. If I could somehow get like out of the situation without my mom knowing, which I was like, that's pretty slim. And then I called and like was trying to figure out like how to get over to her house, and then like I was just like, fuck, I think I just like have to call my mom because this shit is like ridiculous. And so then I called my mom. She came. I was like, fuck, I'm tripping. And then she didn't answer at first. So I texted her. I was like, help, I'm tripping. And then, hi, kitty. Oh my god, hi. She's making an appearance. She doesn't normally make an appearance, so this is a moment. Oh my god, she's so cute. Okay, so, and then she came and picked me up, and I was like still freaking out, and like I was asking her all this questions. I was like, am I gonna go to jail? Did you just lose your job? Are you gonna go to jail? And just like saying shit like that. And I was like, why do you look like a bug? Because she would like wear her hat, and like all of her hair was tucked in. I just remember her driving like this, and I was like, you look like a bug. So yeah, and then like once we got upstairs, I was like starting to come down a little bit, and like I was still scared and like freaking out. And then I like started to come down and like realize that everything was fine. And then I was like, that was so funny. Yeah, and she was like, yeah. That's my story. Oh my god, was that really long? Cool. Okay, that's my challenging trip.
Please don't tell my mama this ain't marijuana. Enjoy your mind trip, but don't trip on your mind. No man is safe from the war going on now.